Imagine being stalked by a ghost, especially by one that's a shapeshifter. Sometimes a man, sometimes a woman, sometimes a headless horseman. And besides stalking, this spirit likes to attack and murder living people. Hey guys, it's Brittany and welcome back to Brittyween 2025. Today, this is kind of like, well, it's Dirty Diana. My take on Dirty Diana, because you don't actually really see her. I don't know, I feel like this look just like really embodies her. Like, you know, all the black and the eyes. And I did film a whole makeup video, which is probably posted as you are watching this. Hopefully it is. It's on my Instagram and YouTube shorts, hopefully by the time this video is up. But getting into this video, okay? This is probably one of the oldest and one of the most famous ghost stories coming out of Wisconsin. It is the legend of the Ridgeway Ghost. They say the Ridgeway Ghost haunts US Route 151 between Dodgeville and Blue Mounds, which is a 20-mile road of primarily farmland. This ghost is constantly changing form. It's a shapeshifter, so sometimes you see it, it's a woman. Could look like me, could look like you, it could be older, it could be younger, it could be a man, an older man, a younger man, it could be any kind of animal, sometimes fire, like a flame, the headless horseman. It literally morphs into anything that it feels like. And then once it does what it has to do, which is scaring you, attacking you, it disappears. What I find really interesting is I've read that some claim that every 40 years, the paranormal activity increases. There's more sightings, there's more attacks, there's just something wrong with that road. So that's when it kind of reminds me, well, it doesn't just kind of remind me, but Jeepers Creepers. You probably already said it with me, but right? It's every 40 years, the paranormal activity increases. I mean, it's not every 40 years in Jeepers Creepers, but it just kind of gives that vibe. They're on a road, like, you know what I mean? Now the Creeper's obviously not a shapeshifter, but it just reminds me of that. But what is this spirit? Why does it take so many different forms? Why does it attack people? Why does it like to scare people? Like, who is it? What is it? Now, there are a few different stories of the origin of this spirit. The main one that I found says that it all started in the 1840s. There was some kind of bar brawl that included two brothers, which resulted in the murder of a man. But then I've also read another version involving two brothers who were only ages 14 and 15, who were both brutally murdered. They say one was thrown into a fireplace and burned alive, and the other brother froze to death. So some believe that this spirit is the spirit of those two brothers, but that doesn't make any sense to me. There's so many different variations of what the ghost could be. I don't know about the brothers, like, what? Unless they're out for revenge, and that's kind of how they shapeshift. I mean, this spirit has been seen as like a fireball, and one of the brothers supposedly died in a fire. That right there, I can see making sense. But why would they get so violent towards random travelers going down this road? That's what I don't understand. The fact that it's shape-shifting, like it's not human, it's just, and you know, those two brothers obviously were human. It's just, that's just weird to me. Also, the man that was murdered in the bar, maybe it's the man. Maybe it was, if it was the two brothers that murdered the man, or it was somebody else who murdered that man in that bar when he eventually died, or it's the man who was murdered and he's maybe seeking revenge. But you know what I mean? It just doesn't really make sense. Like, why? And why would he be seeking revenge on all these innocent people? The first ever sighting of this spirit was in the 1850s. There was a man that said a ghost appeared on the pole of his wagon, because back then they were riding through, you know, in horse carriages. So this man saw this ghost on the pole of his wagon, and he apparently saw this ghost 3 times, and he was killed the 3rd time just from being so scared. And that's actually how a lot of these deaths on this road happened, was because it was horse carriages. The horses would be scared. They'd go into a panic and they'd run away. The carriages would flip over. They would crash. But the ones who were face to face with this spirit and died from being so scared, those are the ones that freak me out. There was another man riding down that road saying that he was attacked by this giant dark figure. He was thrown around, tossed around in the air. He kind of described it as if it was like a tornado. After that attack, he survived, and it was pretty intense. But he did die a few hours later. Back in that time period, they'd be riding their wagons, and that's when the spirit would, be riding beside them, be stalking them, following them. It was almost like a trickster. It liked to play pranks. It's almost like it fed off of your fear, and it would just constantly do things to scare you, to scare the horses, traumatize you. But for what? Like, what caused it to get that way? You know what I mean? And it just happened. The first sighting was in the 1850s. Then those supposed deaths with the two brothers and the man in the bar happened in the 1840s. So, I mean, those timelines are really close, but it just doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. But then there's people that think it's just not real. It's just a made up story that was to scare people off, which I can definitely see that. So maybe it is made up. But they say do not ride down that road. Even today, people don't ride down. I mean, I'm sure they do, but be careful. But that is the Ridgeway Ghost. So let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think it's real? Do you think it's just like a made up story? It just doesn't make sense. There's so many holes in this, I find, that it's all over the place. And there's so many different variations. And usually when there's so many variations, different variations, it may not be real. I think it could be based, maybe someone did experience something, like maybe that man who first had that sighting in 1850 did see a ghost come onto his carriage, but then stories just kind of started building. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there. Or maybe I was. Maybe I am the Ridgeway Ghost. Can you imagine? That just gave me chill. Why would I even say that? I mean, I was definitely something in a past life. Let me just say. I believe if there are past lives, if I did have a past life, I was definitely some kind of entity. I will say that. I definitely think that. So let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, you rock my world in the song lyrics. Michael Jackson, hashtag team Brittany44, hashtag Beretta Runs. Hey, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.